Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an advanced Dungeons & Dragons monsters video on Dustdiggers. As a dungeon master, sometimes it can be difficult to find a monster to run against your players that hasn't been done, redone, or redone 100 times before. Especially when the player characters reach 8th or 10th level. By then, the characters have seen and encountered a bunch of different critters, and it's hard to challenge them with new things. Oh no, another dragon. However, will we 6th, 8th level PCs deal with this thing? Sarcasm intended. The next time they are making a trek across the desert, try this. The Dustdigger. You can find it in the Monster Manual 2 on page 61. This thing is huge. It hides under the sand where prey crosses the sand above it. It attacks. So it hides under the sand, and when somebody's crossing above it, it attacks. One of the more insidious aspects of this creature is its ability to create an illusion of a bubbling pool of water in the desert sands above it. This attracts any living thing in the desert. Because when you're in the desert, if you've ever been in the desert, if you know anything about desert survival, water is a necessity. You have to have it. Anything with a mind that sees a pool of water will go to the pool of water. Player characters have a mind, at least they're supposed to. Player characters in the desert see an oasis and they immediately head for it. Few, if any, will think to disbelieve this illusion. So it's got reasonable bait. One of the more dangerous things about it is that Dustdiggers travel in groups of 1 to 20. So you can have a very large area infested with these things. They can easily handle a party of player characters. So it's not a matter of their level. It's a matter of if they're all they got to do is walk there. One thing is that the dungeon master will need to plot the exact location of each and every Dustdigger in the area. This will prevent, but I was over there, or my character never walked over there, I was this way. I was over this way. That sort of thing. You got to know exactly where they are, and you got to know exactly where your player characters are. Now, the pool of water makes it easier, because, I'm going to get in that pool of water. Well, boom, you're there. You can't argue with that. I'm going to go drink from the water. You're there. You can't argue with it. You were there. You said you went there. The pool of water makes excellent bait, especially in the desert. Make sure you know exactly where these critters are using map references so that when a player character walks over one, there is no question. The last thing you want to say with a player to say is, well, that's not fair. He cheated. As a dungeon master, that is one of your worst nightmares. Because then you have to explain the rules, explain the critter, it just kills the mood of the game, These things are not much more intelligent than animals, so play them accordingly. They're not going to have any real advanced tactics. However, they're not. They do have a sense of self-preservation. They only move at night, so And if you're having trouble imagining what these things look like, imagine the Sarlacc from Return of the Jedi, but a lot smaller. It's not going to swallow a vehicle. They're about the size big enough to swallow a full-size human character. That's about it. But like I said, they travel in groups of 1 to 20, so they can be quite nasty. In groups, they can be very nasty. And read up on the different armor classes and their attack methods, because you have to know that in order and compare them to the defenses that the player characters have. You want to challenge the players. You don't want to rob them of their abilities. So just compare the two and make reasonable judgment calls. At any rate, the next time you're having problems finding a critter to run against player characters, if they're in the desert, consider a Dustdigger. You could do far worse. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.